Welcome back to slprimestudio YouTube channel. I'm Samit. I make my own Photoshop tutorial videos and I use voicemaker.in to add voice for my videos. In this video, I hope to talk about magnetic lasso tool. It is the second part of the lasso tool that I brought to you in last video. I kindly invite you to refer that video also. I invite you stay until end of the tutorial because it will useful for your Photoshop knowledge. Okay my friends, let's get started. You can select magnetic lasso tool in upper corner of the toolbar. Shortcut key is L. As previous video, first I talk about essential shortcut keys. I have already talked about lasso tool and polygonal lasso tool in previous video. I'm not going to talk them again in this. You can open magnetic lasso tool via pressing Shift and L keys in the keyboard. There are 4 selection style in the option bar. New selection, add to selection, subtract from selection, intersect with selection. These are same as lasso tool and polygonal lasso tool. I have talked them in previous video. I will show how to do selection with these style in later. You can use these shortcut keys for open those selection styles. You can press Q key to see selected area. Then you can identify the selected area well. Now I'm going to discuss about very important aspect of the magnetic lasso tool. It is about the contrast and the width. We should understand this areas before doing selection. Because we can't handle the magnetic tool without knowing the contrast and the width. I'm showing the difference of contrast in this example. Between white area and black area develops high contrast because the color difference is high. But the second example, there is low contrast between them due to low color difference. The high contrast develops well-defined edges so easily can handle the magnetic tool. The low contrast area is not creates well-defined edges. So the selection is very difficult. Because the magnetic tool cannot identify the edges correctly. So before doing selection, you should identify the color difference and whether they develop well-defined edges or not. In this picture, I selected 4 areas to show the contrast and the width. There is a dark skin hand and a white skin hand in this picture. There are 3 edges between them. I have shown those in this picture. I have shown the dark areas and light areas. This is for understanding the contrast and the width. Between 1 and 2. Color difference is high, develops well-defined edges, so contrast is high. Between 2 and 3 in this hands. The color difference is high, it develops well-defined edges, as previous one, contrast is high between them. Between 3 and 4 in this picture. The color difference is low, it is not develops well-defined edges, it creates soft edges. So, contrast is low between them. Now you can understand all about the contrast. The width and the contrast can be seen in the option bar. Now I will show how to use the width option with example. When I press the caps lock key, the cursor changed as round shape. There is a plus mark in the middle of the round. Actually, the width is the size of the circle. When you do the selection with the magnetic tool, the tool identified edges within this circle. When I increase width, the size of the circle is increased. When I decrease the width, the size of the circle is reduced. Before you are going to do a selection, first you should identify whether they're well-defined edges or not. Then change the width and contrast according to selection area. Then you can do the selection nicely. If there are more edges than one, and it is not well defined, then you should reduce the width. Then the magnetic tool identify the edges with minimum errors. If the width is high, the magnetic tool is identified more edges. So selection will be difficult. Finally, to do better selection, you can choose high width and contrast for selecting between 1 and 2, and 2 and 3. You can reduce the width and contrast for selecting between 3 and 4. Before you are going to do a selection, first you should identify whether they're well-defined edges or not. Then change the width and contrast according to selection area. Then you can do the selection nicely. Now I'm going to make a selection. I want to select both hands. I will show how to do it with changing the width and contrast. Between 1 and 2, they're high contrast and the width. Edges is clear. The magnetic tool can be identified edges well. So I increase the width and contrast. After increasing the width and contrast, I do the selection like this. The edges is clear. The magnetic tool is clearly identified the edge. The selection is very smooth. I use hand tool to move the area. Shortcut key is H key. After first part, gradually edges is become soft. The contrast between edges is reduced. So I need to reduce the width and the contrast. I do it with shortcut keys. This is only a demonstration for identifying the width and contrast. After learning these things, you can do it very well. Due to low contrast, soft edge. I decrease contrast via pressing comma key in the keyboard. It's more difficult to do the selection with low contrast. I think that you can see it. You can delete anchor points via pressing backspace or delete key. Okay, I selected both hands. I think that you can understand how to use the width and the contrast for better selection. Okay, Now it's time to talk about frequency. Frequency means that the frequency of releasing anther points. When I drag the cursor, it is released anther points. You can use this shortcut keys in the keyboard for increasing and decreasing the frequency. According to the selection edges, you can choose suitable amount of frequency. I selected an object for selecting with magnetic tool. There is no well-defined edges. Cannot identify the edges clearly. In addition to that, the low width and low contrast is suitable for doing this kind of selection. First I do the selection with high frequency. You can see the selection is very smooth and easy. Now I reduce the frequency and do the selection again. Now you can see that the releasing of anchor point is low. Selection is also difficult and final outcome is lower than previous. That's the difference between them. Okay. We learnt about magnetic lasso tool up to now. So, magnetic lasso tool is quick edges selection tool. If you need to select an area with one or more edges which are well defined or not, you can choose the magnetic lasso tool for that. You can use these keys to change contrast as I mentioned earlier. You can use these shortcut keys in the keyboard to change the width as I discussed earlier. Then you can easily do your designs. During your selection, you can switch into lasso tool with Alt key. And also you can shift into polygonal lasso tool with pressing Alt key and right click in the mouse. To make design easily, you can delete unwanted anchor points via pressing backspace key or delete key. When you press caps lock key in the keyboard, your cursor will be changed into circle. When you change the width, the size of the circle is become large of small. When I move the cursor along the edge of the object, I can change the width according to selection area. I mean that, if there is edge which is not well defined, then you can change your width according desire area. Now I'm going to make selections as examples. This is only for understanding about magnetic tool. We will discuss more in later with doing small practical. I do a new selection and click Q key to see the selection area. This is add to selection. This is subtract from selection. This is intersect with selection. I do same selections with feather options. I adjust the feather size and make the selection like this. Now I'm going to show you how to shift from magnetic lasso tool into polygonal lasso tool and freehand lasso tool. Let's see it. Press Alt key and left click. Then magnetic lasso tool switch into polygonal. I press Alt key, then left click and hold. Then draw the selection. Then magnetic lasso tool switch into freehand lasso tool.it will be changed into polygonal again with pressing Alt key and left click. Now I think that you know all about magnetic lasso tool. Okay, let's move to a small practical. Okay. I want to select this phone screen quickly. So the magnetic lasso tool is the best tool for that. Let's see how to do it easily. There is well-defined edge between screen and the outer layer. So we can do the selection easily. In order to do the best selection, I increase the width to 17, the contrast is 100 and the frequency is 60. After these changes we will do the selection. Okay, let's start the magnetic travel around the screen. I will do it quickly. When you make a selection, you can do it carefully. Practice is the best thing before doing huge project. You can use hand tool for reaching desired area. Shortcut key is H key in the keyboard. Take time to make a better selection. After practice, you can do it quickly. We nicely did it. Is it easy? Yes, it is very easy. Now I'm going fill the selection area with a color. Do right click and select fill. Then go to color and select a color for filling the selection area. Wow! Done and dusted. Now I'm going to do a little practice to show you more about magnetic lasso tool. Okay, I need to change the color of the t-shirt. I select magnetic lasso tool. Shortcut key is Shift plus L. There is not well-defined edge between the background and the main object. Therefore magnetic tool is identified more edges. So I should decrease the width. Then the tool is identified minimum edges. Then the selection is very easy. But the contrast between background and the object is slightly high. So I increase the contrast to better selection. I keep the frequency in between 50 and 100. You can use shortcut keys for this adjustments. I duplicated the layer and renamed it. Then I zoom in the picture via Ctrl and plus key in the keyboard. I start the selection with magnetic lasso tool. To delete anchor points, use backspace key or delete key. Take time to do these kind of selection. I do this quickly. Edges are not well defined at this points. So should be very patient. When we do it slowly we can do it nicely. Okay. Up to now, we have almost done it. After that we need to recheck the selection and correct the missed selections. In some area, the selection has been gone a little bit outside. In some areas, the selection goes inside. So it should be correct. I choose freehand lasso tool. Press Shift and draw the selection. The new selection is added to the previous one. At this area, I do same thing. Freehand lasso tool and Shift and draw the selection. Then we can fill it. If you need to reduce a part from the selection, switch into freehand lasso tool and press Alt key and draw the selection. It acts as subtract from selection. Then you can reduce a part. You can shift into freehand lasso tool and press Shift plus Alt key and draw the selection. It works as intersect with selection. You can modify the selection with these three shortcuts. Remind it well. Okay. Selection is almost correct. But take time to modify your one. Then I go to Adjustment Layer. At the right bottom of the panel, I select Hue and Saturation. I adjust the color of the t-shirt with changing hue and saturation. Look. It is very easy and nice. I hope to bring you a tutorial regarding adjustments layer in later. After color mixed, finally we changed the t-shirt color. The color is matching with the trouser. Isn't it? Brilliant and excellent. We did it nicely. At the end of the tutorial, I hope that you understood all about magnetic tool. Happy to hear that. Thank you very much for staying with the tutorial until end of the video. I'm sure that you learnt something from my tutorial into your knowledge. I'm very happy to share my knowledge with you. So I invite you to stay with these tutorial series and feel free to subscribe the channel. If you have any suggestions or comments, please be kind enough to leave it on the comment section. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.